You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
A Colorado health system's patient portal has been compromised. Malicious uploads to open-source repositories surge over the past year. Octo2 malware targets Android devices. A critical vulnerability in Veeam Backup and Replication software is being actively exploited. The US and UK team up for kids' online safety. The European Council adopts the Cyber Resilience Act. New York State adopts new cyber regulations for hospitals. The FBI created its own cryptocurrency to help thwart fraudsters. Our guest, Dr. Bilyana Lilly, joins us to talk about her new novel, Digital Mindhunters, and getting dumped via AI. It's Friday, October 11th, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Happy Friday, and thanks for joining us here today. It is great to have you with us. A recent cyber attack on Colorado's Axis Health System has compromised the patient portal used for communication with healthcare providers. The nonprofit, which runs 13 facilities across southwest and western Colorado, confirmed the breach but provided limited details. Officials stated they are still investigating and will notify patients if their data is affected. Currently, the patient portal remains offline, with patients urged to contact clinics directly. The Ricida ransomware gang has claimed responsibility, demanding over $1.5 million. This group is notorious for targeting hospitals and government entities, with previous attacks on Prospect Medical Hospitals and the governments of Columbus, Ohio, and Seattle, Washington. On the same day, security firm Census released a report warning about the dangers healthcare organizations face from Internet-exposed devices. Census identified over 14,000 IP addresses tied to healthcare systems, potentially exposing sensitive medical data. Nearly half of these devices are based in the U.S., with India also heavily affected. The report highlighted the risks posed by exposing systems like servers handling medical images and electronic health record systems. Census warned that healthcare providers, particularly radiology and pathology services, often prioritize accessibility over security, making them vulnerable. The firm urged organizations to implement stricter security measures, including multi-factor authentication and proper access controls, to reduce risks of unauthorized access. A new report from Sonatype reveals a 150% surge in malicious packages uploaded to open-source repositories over the past year. Open-source software, a foundation of modern digital technologies, allows nearly anyone to contribute to its code. Sonatype analyzed over 7 million open-source projects and found more than 500,000 contained malicious packages. The report highlights the growing vulnerabilities within the open-source ecosystem, worsened by developers prioritizing rapid feature releases over security. Fixing critical vulnerabilities now takes up to 500 days, compared to 200 to 250 days in the past. Even major bugs like Log4Shell continue to be downloaded, with 13% of Log4j downloads still using vulnerable versions. Sonatype warns that the open-source supply chain is struggling to keep up with the increasing number of security issues. Octo2, a new variant of the Octo malware family, is targeting Android devices by posing as popular apps like NordVPN and Google Chrome. Researchers at Domain Tools report that Octo2 uses advanced techniques to evade detection, steal credentials, and enable remote access to infected devices. It features improved remote access capabilities and advanced anti-analysis and anti-detection techniques, making it harder to detect and neutralize. Octo 2 also uses a domain generation algorithm to create dynamic command and control server addresses, increasing its resilience against security takedowns. Early samples have been found in Europe, but global spread is expected. The malware spreads via a dropper called Zombinder, which disguises malicious payloads as legitimate apps. Domain Tools urges caution when downloading apps and emphasizes the importance of threat intelligence and security monitoring. A critical vulnerability in Veeam Backup and Replication software is being exploited by hackers to deploy ransomware, including Fog and Akira variants. The flaw allows unauthenticated remote code execution, enabling attackers to create unauthorized accounts and gain privileged access. Attackers initially gained access through compromised VPN gateways without multi-factor authentication. Sophos reported several attacks over the past month, highlighting the need for patching, updating outdated VPNs, and implementing strong security measures. Veeam has released a patch, and administrators are urged to apply it immediately. The U.S. and Britain have launched a joint working group to improve children's online safety. U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo and British Science and Technology Minister Peter Kyle urged tech platforms like Instagram and Snapchat to enhance protections for children. Social media's impact on youth, especially related to body image and mental health, has raised significant concerns. Studies show platforms like Snapchat and Meta's services are frequently used in child abuse crimes. The group aims to increase scrutiny and strengthen regulations, aligning with ongoing efforts in both countries. In the U.S., two key bills, COPPA 2.0 and COSA, await approval, while Britain's Online Safety Act, set for 2024, will impose strict rules on content access for minors and enforce penalties for non-compliance. The European Council has adopted the Cyber Resilience Act, mandating security by design measures for connected devices in the EU. Manufacturers must now meet essential cybersecurity requirements, including conducting risk assessments, ensuring data protection, and swiftly patching vulnerabilities. The regulation requires vendors to notify the EU of actively exploited vulnerabilities within 24 hours. Products that comply will bear a CE marking, while non-compliance could result in fines of up to 15 million euros or 2.5% of global turnover. Despite criticism from security experts and industry stakeholders who argue the act may aid hackers or disrupt supply chains, EU regulators believe it will simplify compliance and streamline product distribution across the bloc. The legislation will take effect after a 36-month transition period. New York State now requires general hospitals to report material cybersecurity incidents, such as ransomware attacks, to the state's health department within 72 hours under new regulations effective as of October 2nd. Hospitals must also comply with additional mandates by October 2025, including appointing a Chief Information Security Officer, conducting annual security risk assessments, implementing multi-factor authentication, and establishing a comprehensive cybersecurity program. The regulations aim to enhance patient care continuity and protect hospital operations from cyber attacks. Non-compliance may result in penalties, though the focus is on providing resources to protect against cyber threats. New York has allocated $500 million to assist hospitals in meeting the requirements. The regulations come as the healthcare sector faces an increasing number of cyber attacks, with hospitals bearing the brunt of these incidents, affecting patient data and hospital functions. Federal regulators are also working on updates to the HIPAA security rule. The FBI created its own cryptocurrency, NextFund AI, to monitor suspected fraudsters in a cryptocurrency market manipulation scheme. This Ethereum-based token allowed the FBI to observe fraudulent activities, leading to arrests in the UK, Portugal, and Texas. The Department of Justice charged 18 individuals with fraud and manipulation, particularly for using wash trades to falsely inflate trade volumes, a tactic commonly used in pump and dump schemes. One organization involved misled investors about its token's market stability and regulatory approval, while secretly profiting from manipulation. The FBI's cryptocurrency operation helped expose these fraudulent activities. The SEC has also filed charges against 5 promoters, warning investors of the ongoing risks in crypto markets. 4 defendants have already pled guilty, with one more intending to do so. Before we head into our break, I want to share a programming note. Our team will not be publishing on Monday, October 14th in observance of the U.S. holiday Indigenous Peoples Day. We will offer a special edition Solution Spotlight episode of N2K's Simone Petrella speaking with ISC2's Andy Woolnough with a detailed look at ISC2's 2024 Cybersecurity Workforce Study. The CyberWire Daily podcast will return on Tuesday. Coming up next, my conversation with Dr. Bilyana Lilly about her new novel, Digital Mindhunters. We'll be right back. When it comes to ensuring your company has top-notch security practices, things can get complicated fast. Vanta automates compliance for SOC 2, ISO 27001, HIPAA, and more, saving you time and money. With Vanta, you can streamline security reviews by automating questionnaires and demonstrating your security posture with a customer-facing Trust Center. Over 7,000 global companies like Atlassian, Flow Health, and Quora use Vanta to manage risk and prove security in real time. Our listeners can claim a special offer of $1,000 off Vanta at vanta.com/cyber. That's VANTA.com/cyber for $1,000 off Vanta. And now, a word from our sponsor, Cortex. Security teams face a barrage of more security tools create more complexity. More devices need protection. More specialized focus areas create more silos. The security landscape is changing fast. How can security operations transform to meet current threats? Cortex by Palo Alto Networks consolidates SecOps tools into an integrated platform and helps organizations stop threats at scale with AI, automation, and analytics. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com/Cortex. Dr. Bilyana Lilly is a CEO and well-respected cybersecurity advisor. She is also author of the new novel, Digital Mindhunters. I sat down with Dr. Bilyana Lilly to discuss the new book.
I've written quite a few articles, blog posts, and I have 2 academic books already. And the process of writing them and the publication and then discussion about them, they have been very rewarding. And it's great to discuss with colleagues information that I have found and arguments around the evidence. But those books were very fact-based, and the process is very constraining. And for a good reason. We're analyzing policy, we're analyzing threats. We have to be precise, we have to be accurate. But I wanted to try to write something where I have more power over my creative control. And I wanted to write something that's wild and fun and entertaining. And I wanted to educate, but also entertain.
Well, describe the book for us. What's the story?
So the story, there's so many. And I don't really want to give all of it away, but the plot is about a strong, very defiant female protagonist who is also an immigrant and a researcher in cybersecurity and defense.
Sounds familiar.
Yes. Yeah, it does. Well, we write about what we know, right? And our own
Yes.
experiences. So, yes, she is partially based on me, and so are a lot of her stories. But there are also fictional parts. And through her experiences, I wanted to show the main aspects of cyber warfare. Because we talk about them and we talk about trends and number of attacks and the cost that those attacks have caused in disinformation and deepfakes. But stories are so much more impactful than statistics. So I took the story of that female character alongside with a great hacker sidekick and sinister villains and their explosions and poisoning attempts and a lot of other fun stuff in the book or exciting stuff in the book. But I also wanted to base that in accurate trends and use the book to portray and bring hopefully the message a little more in a more powerful way that we are in a time of very serious cyber threats, and we're facing a lot of challenges in cyberspace. And a lot of us who are not only cyber experts, but a lot of us could be targets of certain cyber operations and disinformation campaigns. And we can also be tools in someone else's cyber warfare without even knowing it.
Is there an educational component here? Is this a book that I could give to my friends to give them some insights on this world of cyber warfare?
Absolutely. The types of cyber operations in the book are pretty realistic. I even in the acknowledgments, I thank a few of my friends who helped me through some of the story to bring the technical details. The types of operations, the types of behavior of different agencies, specifically Russian and Chinese, are also grounded in Russian and Chinese doctrine. So those operations, although some of them haven't happened, are very close to reality. So yes, the book can definitely serve as a great gift for any employer during Cybersecurity Awareness Month or Christmas. If you would like to entertain and educate, I think that hopefully, and I hope the community will respond positively to it, but this was the goal of the book.
Tell us about your journey as an author here. I mean, to take your area of expertise, but then to turn it into a compelling and entertaining story. Was there ever a time when you thought, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? Or was it pretty smooth sailing along the way?
Oh, it was terrible, but not at all smooth, very stormy. But I would say it was the stormiest for my friends who had to suffer through the first drafts of this book, including
Ah.
Brandon, who read one of I really want to give him a shout out and thank him, and also Matt Swish, Daryl Blocker, and a few others who read through the entire book when it wasn't yet in its final shape. And Brandon, for example, suffered through a lot of chapters with very technical lectures about Chinese information warfare and their cognitive doctrine, which afterwards, when I spoke with my editor, he said, Bilyana, no one cares. This is too boring and too educational. Cut it off. So, so I
It's not
cut
a
it off.
textbook.
Exactly. So, like Bilyana, leave that for the next book, academic book, but write this, yeah, in a more action-packed way. Focus on the characters. So you still have the realistic stories and how the actors would behave. But what I learned from my editor, and I love this, he said, "Don't tell them, show them."
Give us some insights on your own background that informed the writing of the book here. I mean, you have quite an extensive background when it comes to cyber warfare.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah, the story of the character is very unusual, and so is mine. Like a lot of members of our community, I almost stumbled upon the field. I didn't wake up one day when I was in high school saying, "Oh, I want to be a cybersecurity expert." I initially worked for the Red Cross. I was a painter. I was into martial arts, and I thought I wanted to be an architect. But then I ended up one summer in Kosovo for a summer school, and I saw the devastating impact of a war on a country. And I thought there was nothing more important to me than preserving peace. So I went into conflict resolution. I worked at the United Nations for a while. I wrote my first publication on nuclear terrorism originating from Russia and the likelihood of that. And from there, I worked on missile defense. And that brought me to Oxford. I got a scholarship. I did my master's there. And then I came to the US. And I initially thought I'm going to continue down that path. I'm going to work on hardcore security issues, traditional security issues. But then I saw in 2016 how the US responded to Russia's interference in our election process. And I realized that the new type of warfare that powerful countries like the US, powerful democracies, are going to face is not necessarily the traditional types of war. It is the warfare in cyberspace that could be fought during what we still called peacetime. That's why I decided to write it.
So what's next here? I mean, should we wait for the movie version? Is this going to be a Netflix special, or do you have another book in mind?
I would love to see this in some sort of movie or series. Yes, I hope that happens. I look forward to seeing how the community will receive the book. I just had the first 250 copies distributed to the participants of Nexus last week, so it's still very new. Yeah, I'd love to see this in an HBO series or Netflix series. I think there is a lot of material for that. And with regards to next steps, I'm not sure. Oh, one thing I know for sure, I'm starting a little writing group around Washington D.C., and we have even some of your wonderful colleagues are joining us, especially. And by that I mean Rick Howard. So we're going to have, yes, a small group of individuals who are in cybersecurity or the intelligence community or former members of the intelligence community who can write creative narratives. So I'll try to hopefully have a second book in the next year or two.
You mentioned it, at the core of this story is a strong female protagonist. How important was it for you to be able to show that side of things, to have that be a role model for young women coming up in the industry?
Yeah, thank you for asking. That's exactly why I made Riley the protagonist. We are in a male-dominated field, that's very clear. And although I can't really complain, I've had amazing mentors. I have been very lucky. I think I have proven myself as an expert in my field. But I know that there's still stigma that exists, and there is still this discomfort with, are females equally capable? And yes, they are. And I want to show through this book that that's the case.
So one of the things that struck me as I was reading the book is that the writing expands beyond just the effects of cybersecurity itself. It shows how these things can expand into the real world, how some of our adversaries are using these playbooks to try to make those sorts of things happen.
Absolutely, Dave. You're 100% correct. And there are various ways through which specific risks in cyberspace or operations in cyberspace can have physical and even at times lethal effects. For example, through disruptive cyber operations on a critical infrastructure facility, or even we just discussed how Israel has conducted certain operations that have led to exploding pagers. So that's a very good recent example. But also other examples that we've had in recent years is of disinformation narratives that have radicalized individuals and prompted them to violence against, for example, 5G towers in Canada and the UK. Maybe you even remember the Pizzagate conspiracy, where an individual from North Carolina actually walked into a pizzeria in Washington, D.C. with a rifle, pointed the rifle at one of the workers, and actually fired. So we have those examples. And I think it's very important to remember that threats in our digital space can have physical effects because our adversaries are actively exploiting those opportunities and those vulnerabilities.
All right. Well, the book is titled Digital Mindhunters, and Dr. Bilyana Lilly is the author. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
Our thanks to Dr. Bilyana Lilly for joining us. You can find a link to Bilyana's book, Digital Mindhunters, in our show notes. Around every entry point and every clever attacker, Vectra sees the attacks others can't. How? Vectra has AI on it. Vectra's AI attack signal intelligence tells security teams where to focus, what matters. It wades through thousands of individual threat events so you don't have to. Attackers infiltrating your network? Vectra has AI on it. Attackers compromising your identities? Vectra has AI on it. Vectra AI, the integrated signal powering your XDR. Visit vectra.ai/showme to learn more. That's vectra.ai/showme to learn more. And finally, our Lonely Hearts Desk shares the story of New York-based software developer Nick Spreen, who had a birthday surprise he probably won't forget anytime soon, thanks to Apple's upcoming AI feature. On his iPhone 15 Pro, running a beta version of iOS 18, Spreen received a message summary from the Apple Intelligence feature that distilled several breakup texts from his girlfriend into a blunt AI-penned notification.
No longer in a relationship. Wants belongings from the apartment.
Ouch. Spreen shared the AI-generated breakup cliff notes in a viral tweet on X-Twitter, humorously captioning it for anyone curious about how an AI summarizes a breakup text. Yes, it happened on his birthday, and yes, the summary was eerily accurate, as Spreen confirmed. While the AI's unemotional delivery might sound dystopian, Spreen admitted it softened the blow a bit, making the moment feel surreal, like a personal assistant delivering bad news, while keeping things professional. Who knew AI could be so emotionally detached, yet helpful? And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. Be sure to check out this weekend's Research Saturday and my conversation with Trevor Hilligoss, Vice President of Spy Cloud Labs. We're discussing the growing threat of ransomware and the pivotal role of info-stealer malware in enabling these attacks. That's Research Saturday. Check it out. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. We're privileged that N2K CyberWire is part of the daily routine of the most influential leaders and operators in the public and private sector, from the Fortune 500 to many of the world's preeminent intelligence and law enforcement agencies. N2K makes it easy for companies to optimize your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your teams while making your teams smarter. Learn how at n2k.com. This episode was produced by Liz Stokes. Our mixer is Trey Hester, with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karp. Simone Petrella is our president. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. And I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here next week. Now a word from our sponsor, the Johns Hopkins University Information Security Institute, currently seeking qualified applicants for its innovative Master of Science in Security Informatics degree program. Study alongside world-class interdisciplinary experts and gain unparalleled educational, research, and professional experience in information security and assurance. Interested U.S. citizens should consider the National Science Foundation's CyberCore Scholarship for Service program, which covers tuition, required fees, university-sponsored health insurance, and a $6,000 annual professional development allowance, as well as providing a $37,000 additional annual stipend. Apply for the scholarship and the spring semester by November 15th. Learn more at cs.jhu.edu/MSSI.